Welcome back to the Stuff or Whatever podcast. Your host, B. Quanchi here. Before we get started, I always like to say the best way to support me and the channel is to like, comment, and subscribe. You can do here on YouTube. We can follow on Twitter to catch fun tweets and updates, and also follow on Twitch, where you can catch live streams of gaming, all that. And those gaming streams are uploaded as VODs back here on YouTube. So B. Quanchi, you can find it in links of videos about on the channel. Not too tough to find. Also with that, I've been kind of, I don't know if it's like a little OCD, but just like messing around with my Twitch channels, mostly with like, because I get in habits of making clips or highlights of streams, because I don't know everything about Twitch. I'm not sure because I'm not an affiliate yet, even though I did about over 70 streams, but I'm having fun with that too, so I can't complain too much, but I get in the habit of highlighting like a clip or two, just depending on the game I'm playing. I notice like the streams delete themselves like after 2 weeks, I think. I'm not sure if that's because I'm not an affiliate or that's a thing. But I also heard stuff on Twitch like they encourage you to like take down streams after past broadcasts. Like don't save full broadcasts on your Twitch channel or whatever. I'm not sure how true that is, but I do put like the full streams plus and minus. I clean up the beginning end because like the awkward like is this mic on kind of thing or get anything turned off, but pretty much the uncut unfiltered don't really do anything much on. I don't know, I try to think. Sometimes I forget to be entertaining, although just little me, and I don't even have a face cam or webcam. I thought about that, but maybe if I get more of a following, more of a community, maybe do more on Twitch, and sometimes even like ideas like, and like I want to do more stuff, like play more games or stream more often, but then it feels like, I don't want to burn myself out because I do work a full-time job, and I don't want to be like, in a sense, I don't know, it's kind of weird to think like streaming working, but I can kind of get it where like people who like really big successful stream a lot, like how they can be like, okay, like I can't always be on, even though I'm having fun with video games or whatever. Have people on chat to interact with, have a community. It can still be draining and all that, but just my little blurb about that. So I did want to give an update on something I said on the past podcasts or so. Just I did a little more research on it. The Ritz Oreo cookie cracker sandwich thing, that it's like a cookie cracker sandwich and it's half an Oreo, half a peanut butter Ritz. And I was complaining like, hey, you can't find it in stores and all that. But I guess what they did is like back on May 26th, like the first 1,000 people can get a free pack of these cookie crackers combos. You just had to pay shipping, but they ran out. And I feel it's like kind of stupid. Like that would be an interesting product. Like I would actually want to try that as a consumer. Like why not just put on shelves? Because you guys make a shit ton of Ritz, make a shit ton of Oreos, all these different flavors. I can do the shitty. I only say this shitty because they just have all the Pride packaging. Like I talked about Pride stuff before in the past, and I feel like with Oreos, like all they do is just put the sleeve of Oreos in a packaging that says Pride with like quotes, and it's cool in terms of the support awareness, but it doesn't feel like really much. It feels like a very half-assed gesture. But it's do that, they do all like the limited flavors, or they have like dozens of flavors for Oreos alone. Like, why not get the Ritz Oreo cookie crackers like on shelves, like actually sell them? You could probably make a shit ton of money just because people like, that's interesting. I would want to try that, but I'm not sure if they plan on doing more. I checked the website Ritz X Oreo because I was confused at first because it said the snacks sold out, but I think maybe they just meant by out of stock, because I think you do have to pay shipping, because I found from like a news article. But it says don't miss I don't know what this means, because it says don't miss another tasty opportunity, and I don't know if that means if they're going to do this again or have other stuff in the future. So like follow Oreo and stuff on social media. But I feel like this was actually an interesting product. Why not actually sell it? Why not make it more accessible, especially if you can make a lot of money from it? So it's like, oh well. But that's my last blab about that. So one thing I wanted to talk about this podcast is something called, I believe you call it Dall-E, but it's like an AI program that generates images. I think there's like a really fancy one too, but I think because I noticed a lot on Twitter, at least on my little bubble of Twitter, is there's a version of it called Dall-E Mini, which I think it's like more of an accessible one. I think some like the more advanced one is like in testing or has a wait list or something like that, but I'm not sure. But Dall-E Mini, basically, you put a prompt and it creates images based off it, like generates images. And I'm kind of obsessed. I think this Twitter account just blew up. Looking at it right now, it has over 700,000 followers, and it was joined February of this year, so a few months ago. But yeah, it's some crazy stuff because some of it actually looks good in a sense. Like there's a lot of off ones too. Like when I kind of played around with it, it it doesn't always turn out as good as you would hope for like generated images. And it's like some like it's like one for like Fisher Price's first crack pipe or first bong. Some people do like CCTV, like someone robbing a store, where they'd be like, I noticed a lot of like pop culture stuff like Yoda, or what you want to call it, Teletubbies. Like I'm going right here and noticing some like this is some funny stupid ones like this slice of bread ascending to heaven. There was one like a bottle of ranch dressing, uh, testifying in court. There's a funny one like Thanos looking for his mom at Walmart. There's like really funny prompts that turn out really good. But I recommend going to Weird Dolly on Twitter, looking it up. So I'm looking at some articles like some like again some prompts turn out better than others. Like there's Teletubbies at Chernobyl. There's Obama making a sandcastle. Fisher Price, my first bulletproof vest. And let me see. I'm just gonna scroll down and see. Just mention also one that looks like really good is someone did like Cthulhu TY Beanie Baby. Yeah, this Cthulhu Beanie Baby. Oh yeah, because they did a tag, but the tag doesn't quite say TY. I also noticed like some of the faces you'll see like a people look really weird. Like remember I tried to do one with friends, like cast of friends as zombies, and a lot of the faces look like buttholes or something like that. But the Cthulhu Beanie Baby looks really good. I did tweet some. I tried to do like Kirby going trick or treating or Bowser at the beach. So you can check that out. But it's just like crazy how good these are. Like they have Fish Island's image of the Pope riding a skateboard. On his phone, there was a gaming diaper, Club Penguin, Bin Laden, McFuneral. Oh yeah, Donald Trump as a baby from the Nevermind album cover. Demogorgon as a strange from Stranger Things as a guest on the Ellen Show. Oh my god, it's just like you can probably spend a full day like looking through this. Like there's some with Bigfoot. A weird one like someone just said with fingers, and that just came out really weird. But it's like pretty much like 9 generated images altogether as a little collage or something. But I recommend like, at least checking that out. Oh yeah, Among Us Last Supper was a good one. Haggard as American Ninja Warrior contestant. Oh my god, some of these are just really good. Gordon Ramsay sinking in quicksand. Oh yeah, I'm just like laughing just going through these. But yeah, check it out. Check out the website. Like when I try to do sometimes it's like, oh, it's high traffic, but if you like keep clicking and something, you might get something. And it is funny, like maybe just because it's a Twitter page, they kind of pick out the best ones, but some of them kind of flops when you try to do it yourself. But oh my god, it is just crazy to see. But definitely, if you have time to waste, just check that out or play around with the Dall-E Mini AI image generator or whatever what hell you want to call it. So for this next part of the podcast, I just kind of want to rant a little bit. I don't get too political on the podcast. I think most of it because no one's really listening or cares or anything like that. But I know it's the what you want to call it, the midterm elections, and that's how bad I am with following the news and stuff like that. And funny enough, I get most of my news from Philip DeFranco and stuff like that. But it's just kind of interesting just how the climate is in terms of like current issues and stuff like that. it's kind of curious how the next presidential election is going to be, because this is my hot take when it comes to the U.S. presidential election is why so many fucking old candidates? Like that's my biggest complaint. Like quit being old. And that just sounds stupid saying out loud, but I kind of wish we get much younger candidates on the ballot because I believe Joe Biden is the oldest elected president, and Donald Trump isn't that far behind. And to be more transparent when it comes to my like views, or whatever, I kind of lean more towards Democrat. But I'm like, no, I don't want fucking Biden as president. I don't want Trump as president. All that. I'm kind of curious. I'm not sure if it's like said, but I don't know if Biden should even run for re-election or not. I don't know what the hell's going to go on with Trump because I know there's the hearing for the January 6th stuff shit that went down. But it's like getting to the point like just seems like we should have younger people in office, and not just like the presidential, but for Senate representatives. Although there probably is a lot. I haven't done like again extensive research, but I had to remind myself to run for president, you have to be at least 35 years old. I wish they would like pass a law like there would be a cap on that too. Like you can't be president if you're over 60 or anything like that. Because these people like old enough to retire. Like I can't imagine like wanting to run for U.S. president when you can just retire, unless there's like some motive or something else going on. But yeah, that's like one thing. And then I don't know what the deal is with Trump in sense like why. Again, I get a lot of my news from Philly DeFranco, and it seems like the Trump endorsement is still a big deal. But I feel like why would you want that? Like people. I kind of wish like part of the Republican Party would just like lean in hard and be like, fuck Trump or whatever, in a sense like, hey, he lost to fucking Biden. You don't want to be endorsed by a loser. It'd be like the perfect chance to get a different, better candidate for Trump for the 2024 election. I think they should lean that way and all that. But even in 2016, like no one thought Trump would win, and that turned out how it did. But yeah, it just feels like would you even want him to endorse you? Although, like, yeah, I guess so. If it gets you attention, it gets you the notoriety. But I think it's still going on with the hearing because what if like he can't run for office? Like I'm not sure again how the laws and politics works. What if it comes to the point that because no, he's been campaigning for the next election and all that. But what if it like turns out like, hey, you can't run for president? But he's like, again, my point: Trump is fucking old, Biden's fucking old. I don't want fucking old presidents. I don't want someone to like keel over and die in the Oval Office. That's the president of our country. So yeah, so that's my complaint. I also find it weird. Like the one thing I really hate about U.S. politics, it always feels like it's always one side versus the other. Like I'm right, so you're wrong, or I'm good, so therefore you're bad. And you know, there's examples like bipartisanship and stuff like that working together. But that's the one thing I always like. I don't get too like in depth researching with politics because it always feels like I don't know, like a headache, and it's just like this crazy like polar opposites of like I hate you, you hate me, blah blah blah, and it's like I don't want to be like the mumbo jumbo, like oh can't we all just get along? But it always feels like it's very I don't know, just really aggressive against each other when it comes to politics. And one thing that I also have to mention, just as a everyday Joe Schmo kind of guy, is that when it comes to politics, or at least political parties, I would find that the truth is like your party or the one you align with most, they're not always going to have your best intentions in mind 100% of the time. They even do stuff against your intentions and all that. So I always find it weird, like someone just like passionately like be for one president or one candidate and stuff like that, like almost like a cult member or something like that. So I always find that kind of weird, like some people be so dedicated even when the person they follow are in the wrong or in sometimes in the wrong, just depending on the situation. Well, we find that kind of crazy when it comes to politics is that some people just like blindly follow. And I guess I'm a little guilty of that in terms of how I vote. But again, I don't get like too extremely involved. But I also get kind of curious when it comes to like hot button issues, like with the next presidential elections, like the stuff with gun control, gas prices, and stuff like that. Because if you look at it, and what if like Democrats are going to slam Republicans, or Republicans are distance themselves, because it seems like a lot of like Republicans get donations for like campaigning and stuff like that from the NRA, and then Republicans aren't really known to do much when it comes to gun control. Like, of course, there's always thoughts and prayers, and I'm sure that does a lot, but it always feels like Republicans are a little bit more like resistant to changing in terms of gun control. Like, always talking about the amendments and stuff like that, and right to bear arms. Democrat wants to do like more like, hey, red flag laws, or bump stocks, or assault weapons and stuff like that. So it feels like I hear, at least from my little bubble, like my perspective, Democrats being a little bit more towards reasonable gun control, like Republicans like, no, you're fucking taking my gun away. So it's like, and also with gas prices too, like I've been, again, not to like keep repeating myself, I get a lot of my news from the Philip DeFranco show, and it seems like there's a lot of push from Democratic side to crack down on big oil in terms of price gouging and stuff like that, but Democrats aren't as motivated because they get money from big oil. So it's like, I don't know, it feels like certain companies that don't have your best interest in mind control the candidates. Or it feels that way. That's what it just feels like. Like, the system's fucked. Like, 100% the system's fucked. And again, just to circle back to my original idea, like, fuck old people in politics. Like, I don't want old, crusty ass people. I don't want fucking Trump, old ass Biden, even that old McConnell guy that looks like a fucking turd. Like, no old fucking people in the DC. Fuck them all. And again, I'm exaggerating that as well, so don't think I'm too like serious with that. But it would be nice to at least see someone on the ballot that's under the age of 50 running for president. I would like to see that as a citizen, but who knows? But that's just my little rant when it comes to election politics. So next part of this podcast, I wanted to talk about myths about Disneyland, theme parks, or Disney World. I came across like a video and articles about that, and like, oh, this would be fun to talk about. I was almost tempted to do like a video about it, although I feel like I wouldn't be able to do as great of a job. But hey, I can just kind of use this for a little segment for a podcast, fill time, and all that. Because I find it interesting, and it's just like what's true, what's not true, what's exaggerated, and all that. So this is going on some myth about Disneyland, Disney World, all that. Probably not the best going over all that, but I do find this interesting. So the first Disney myth is about the theme parks is the turkey legs they sell aren't actually turkey, that they're actually emu, because they're so big, they're so large, especially compared to a turkey leg you have at Thanksgiving dinner and all that. I believe this got like even propelled even further because I forget the name of the actor, but who did the voice for Flynn Rider and Tangled. But this is definitely debunked because they are actually real turkey, but they actually use tom turkeys or male turkeys. So that's why they're so big, because usually the turkeys you buy from the grocery stores for like Thanksgiving, Christmas dinner are female. So that's why they're so much smaller in size, but the male turkey has much bigger meats and legs and all that. And even said that if it wasn't emu leg, it would be so much bigger. It would taste different too. So they're like, no way, that's an emu leg, and emus would even cost more, so it doesn't make sense to go for emu for a food item. Like, if they want, I don't know, they would probably do something different besides a turkey leg. And I also see those at like, like state fairs or county fairs or something like that. So like, oh, I just find that interesting. And also, what also makes a myth stupid is that they can't really mislabel meat. Like, they can't say, hey, this is turkey when it's a different type of meat. Although it's poultry, but they can't like mislabel, say, so your turkey leg, that's not really turkey. And all that, but that's the first myth. So the next myth is about Cinderella's castle. And the myth is that it can come apart because if there's like a hurricane, I think this more goes towards the park, there's Disney World in Florida. Like, if there's a hurricane, they can quickly take apart the castle so it doesn't like blow away or anything like that. But that's not true. One thing that also makes this myth kind of stupid is that even if it was true, it would just take so much time to dismantle the castle in the first place. and hurricanes and weather can move really fast. And especially like in Florida, it's like building codes like Haiti structures how to withstand heavy rain. So the Cinderella Castle should be able to hold well in maybe hurricanes or at least very harsh rain. And then over Florida, I'm not sure how many hurricanes it had over the years, but pretty much like, A, that's not true. And even if it was, it doesn't really make sense because it's not really practical if you look at it. Okay, the next myth is if you had Disneyland and around characters from the Toy Story movie and you yell, Andy's coming, the characters will fall down like the movies, like they'll pretend at the toys that are just on the floor. And that was true. But it sounds like what happened is that someone posted an image of that went viral online with like Twitter, Reddit, or whatever, and everyone started saying that. Like, I thought I read articles like saying cast members were being annoyed like 50 times like an hour. Andy's coming because I think they had like dedicated sections for Toy Story, but they just stopped doing that. And it's like funny cringe videos. You can probably look it up on YouTube of people yelling Andy's coming and no one does anything. Like Woody or Bud just like stand around. And I think some of the uncostumed cast members say, "No, Andy's not coming." So it's kind of like funny to see that cringe people like yelling and nope. So if you had Disneyland, don't yell Andy's coming. You'll just look like a complete ass. And I think it's like one of the things that the internet kind of ruined it. Although it sounds kind of annoying in the first place. Like if I was a cast member, I would hate people like yelling that and then playing along and falling down and all that. But yeah, don't yell Andy's coming at Disneyland around the Toy Story characters. So next myth is about the Haunted Mansion. And there was a myth that if you talk to cast members before the ride, say, hey, I want to get a death certificate, they will at the end of the ride issue you one, like a special like novelty, you died at the Haunted Mansion Disneyland. And I believe that used to be true from what I've seen and read online, but they canceled that due to like online spreading. So it's like one of the things the internet kind of ruined it. Although it's like one of the things, even word of mouth, it would be too exhausting to keep on doing that. So I guess it was true, but they just stopped doing that because like you're going to get hundreds of thousands of people a day asking for a stupid death certificate. I said stupid, but I guess it's kind of cool. But oh well, but just to, like, don't bug people for that. Don't be like that guy who says like, oh, on the internet it says you can do this, so just do it. It's like, don't fucking leave these people alone. They're just trying to do their jobs. So another myth, and this also involves the Haunted Mansion, is that people scatter ashes of the loved ones, like remains at the graveyard or like at the ride entrance and stuff like that. And that is true. But from what I hear, like it just gets cleaned up by like custodial and stuff like that. It sounds like, I don't know, kind of messed up in a sense. Like if I was like cremated, I wouldn't want to be like dumped somewhere where someone's just going to vacuum me up and stuff like that, or sweep me up and put me in a garbage can. So it's like one of those things like people just like those diehard fans who are just going to do it anyways. And I don't know. I guess people legitimately want that to happen, but then like, oh, you're just going to be swept up and put in a garbage can. Like, what can he do? Like, I don't know. I'm not sure if there's even a health code or thing, even though it's like human remains, but the ashes and cremated. But people do that. I just say like, don't. It just seems like disrespectful. Maybe more so to the theme park and workers, but I don't know. This is kind of another myth. So another creepy myth is that on the ride to Pirates of the Caribbean, there were real skeletons, like at this one scene. I'm not sure if it's like with the treasure or something like that, but there was like real skeletons and bones and stuff like that. And this was true, so this technically is a true myth. And from what I read online, they were donated from the UCLA Medical Center. But what happened is they eventually returned them and made their own, like fake ones that were convincing. So they returned them, but they did use them at a time that were donated, but they returned them. Some people were making like myth and rumors like, hey, they didn't return all of them, like this, like a skull or something like that. But at least from what I saw online, like officials say that all of the real skeletons, all the real bones were returned. So I kind of wonder if that is really true. Of course, you got to say that everything was returned, but if you're kind of curious, maybe one of those bones are actually real. But that's what I found out about it. Okay, and the next myth, and this is kind of a complicated one, is that people don't actually, quote unquote, die at Disneyland or Disney World. And the myth is that what they do is that their workers, the cast members or whatever, will remove bodies before they are pronounced dead. I didn't look at that into that. Like, I'm sure it can be a whole video on its own about people who die at Disneyland or Disney World. I did see that there are several recorded instances of death, but I think the thing about this myth is that it's more of a technicality kind of thing. Is more so who can officially pronounce you dead. So from what I've seen, like you have to be like a doctor, or coroner, or police. So there's only certain people who can make that official proclamation or pronouncement. And a lot of these times, these people, bodies, whatever, are brought to a hospital off the property, off the premises. And there's certain rules by states. I'm sure it's also a Florida thing too, since Disney World is a big park there, and that can be part of it. But it's not that people don't like die or they try to avoid it, but I think they just want to get these bodies out of the way in a sense. Like, it's a theme park, it's the happiest place on earth, and people don't want to see dead bodies. I'm sure it must have happened a couple times, like they say, they can't remove. Because I wonder if there's, sure, a lot of them are accidental, but I wonder if there's any murder or stuff like that where they have to like have police on the scene, stuff like that. So, not that, again, I didn't dive too deep into it. But yeah, people die at Disney, and I'm pretty sure at least one of the Twice have been actually pronounced dead on the property of Disneyland. But one of those funny like myths that you hear a lot about. So next myth is at night what they do is they release a bunch of cats to help control the rodent population, which was kind of funny because Mickey Mouse is the main mascot of Disney. And from what I saw about this, it is kind of true. But from what I've seen online, it seems like these are mostly just feral cats. Like, I don't think it's like as intentional. Like, they don't like have them all in cages and put them back in cages at the end of the whatever overnight thing with the rodent control. So it's like true. I even heard there's like an Instagram page based off them. So these Disney cats, but it feels like hey, they're around. They'll help with rodents to pass, but I don't think it's like a company organized things when it comes to these Disney cats. Okay, and this next myth I find pretty interesting. I actually came across this video by Danny Gonzalez, and this kind of also inspired this little segment, this bit. For this podcast, and me doing a little research, but there's a myth that if you give birth at Disneyland, like a Disney theme park, your baby will get a lifetime pass. And this is not true. And I don't know, I think it's just maybe one of those like myths that become exaggerated because I'm sure it happens. Like, I really don't get it. If you're like a pregnant, expecting mother and like 7, 8, almost 9 months pregnant, like don't go to any theme parks. Like, just don't. That just. But I think there was a time that happened, and they actually like, I don't know, some of the people at the theme parks like, yeah, we made you a birth certificate for your baby as like a gesture or a souvenir and stuff like that. Because it's like one of those things, like if a baby's coming, there's like sometimes not really much you can do, but like let that baby come, and maybe like call, of course, like call 911 or call like medical professionals to get on the scene, because sometimes you just like can't get the person to the hospital, so you have to do the next best thing. Although if I was expecting mother, which is never ever going to happen because, you know, biologically I can't give birth, but like if I'm expecting baby, I want to like prepare for it. Like I want to be like, hey, I want to get to the hospital, get like the epidural, stuff like that. Do whatever I can to make it a smooth process, especially like having medical professionals, because what if something happens, go wrong, the baby's like flipped around or gets tangled by the umbilical cord. There's so much shit that can go wrong. Like, don't fucking chance it. Like, to go to the theme park, don't resist. Like, from the video I saw with Danny Gonzalez, like someone would be like, no, I'm not leaving. I'm giving my baby here so I can get a free pass. And then like the cast members have to ensure them, no, we're not going to give you a free lifetime pass. Like, that doesn't work that way. So like, don't jeopardize your health. Don't jeopardize your baby's health. All that. What I can think of is maybe if that happened, they give the mother, the family. Cause I'm sure like with some of the cases, like it's not their first child. Like maybe they go to Disneyland with like the other kid too. So maybe they give them a possible refund, like, hey, come back at a different time because, of course, your day was hijacked by giving birth. So I think maybe like, oh, we're just going to give you a refund or reissue your pass, and versus get spread and exaggerate to like, oh, you get a lifetime pass, but like, don't have babies in Disneyland. And this last little bit I want to talk about with Disneyland myth is when it comes to lifetime passes. And I actually couldn't find much when it came to lifetime passes. Like, the only examples I was able to find is that the first paying customer for Disneyland was given a lifetime pass. And I believe I saw that Disneyland Tokyo did a promotion, like the first baby that was born in the year of the rat. Recently, I'm not quite sure, they got a lifetime pass. I'm sure it happens like higher ups at Disney, like CEOs or big celebrities that work with Disney for a long time. But I really couldn't find much about like lifetime passes, like who has them, if it's really a thing, besides the very small examples I saw. Like I said, I kind of came across these articles regarding Disneyland myths, whether it be on YouTube or whatever social media. I remember a while back, like 5 years ago, there was an episode of a YouTube show on a Game Grumps channel called Doodle Dudes, and one of the guests worked at Disney World. And they said something like they would give out what's called a black pass or a lifetime pass if a kid saw a character that was out of costumes and were like traumatized by that, so to kind of relieve the situations of giving them a lifetime pass. But when I look into that further, I can't find any evidence of this actually being a thing, or even evidence that a black pass is actually a thing. So maybe that's something that's like rumored and becomes a myth. But that doesn't appear to be a thing at all. Like if you saw someone with the mask off or stuff like that, like you wouldn't get a lifetime pass. The most I can find about this was looking on the Snopes website. There were two different instances that they mentioned, like, of guests. There was one that was caught shoplifting at one of the gift stores, and one guest was robbed in a parking lot. And both times, these families were taken to, like, the security offices, like offices in the back areas, whatever. And then they mentioned, like, some of the cast members were partially out of costume, like, with a mask on, and the kids saw, and they said, and it was, like, from what I saw in the articles, like, there were complaints about it. But I couldn't find anything like in terms of compensation or anything like a free pass. Like, hey, you saw Mickey Mouse with his head off and realized it's like a woman smoking or whatever. Like, they didn't get anything. So I really don't think that's true. If anyone in the comments want to like have any resources besides just word of mouth, but if like you see a character with their face off, for lack of a better word, like, they're not going to get a free lifetime pass. Because I remember seeing a funny, like, I think it's a kind of an old viral video of someone being Miss Possible, and, like, the face front just, like, falls down and breaks when in front of a crowd doing the show. But it does appear like you can get free life passes that way. So to end the podcast, I'm going to bring back this segment, the Whatever Report. So, finding weird news stories online. So just going to go over a few quickly and all that. I mostly get these off Reddit, like some of the Reddit communities I follow is Offbeat and News of the Weird. So we're going to play the classic game of I'll read the headline and guess where this happened. And this is going to be U.S. State, a big clue. But basically there was an argument over an Eden toaster strudel that led to a fight and a stabbing. So where did this happen? If you said Florida, then you are correct. So it seemed like it was student housing, and someone ate like the last toaster strudel or something like that. Or at least like a toaster strudel that did not belong to them. And there was a stabbing. So kind of a stupid story. But it seems like what happened was a pocket knife. But I don't think it's ever worth it. Like, you probably had to be like a psychopath or someone crazy to pull out a knife for something as petty as like a food item, like a toaster strudels. Like, I can't even remember the last time I even had one. I usually get a Pop-Tart kind of guy, but like, it's not fucking worth it. Like, just buy more later or stuff like that. Even if you're craving it, like you're looking so forward to eating that toaster strudel and someone else ate it, like, yeah, that's a shitty thing, but don't bring out a weapon and stab them. And I came for this next story. I don't want to get like too into it because I'm sure there's like a little legal and technical thing about it, but something about like California bees that they can legally be considered fish, or at least have the same protections, like when it comes to like endangered species or like the California Endangered Species Act, that bees can be considered fish. So again, you probably can look it up online and find more articles. I probably will be a shitty job trying to explain it if I could, but it's talked about like the western bumblebee or other bumblebees be considered endangered species, because bees are important. Like, they help pollinate stuff, they make honey and all that. So just kind of like the article, like, bees are fish now. So, but yep, that's that story. And this is kind of a weird story. I kind of wish I could find where this took place because I feel like the website I found is like reposting the article or whatever the news. But a woman keeps a smiling potato in a freezer for 5 years because it looks friendly. And like she refused to cook it and all that. And I see the article and it does look like a face, but it looks kind of creepy. Like I guess you can call that smile, but it looks really creepy. Like I wouldn't want that around. And I think it'd be fun just to have the image and like immortalize it as something viral on the internet. But kind of weird. It's Pete. It's Pete the smiling potato, and all that. But I just don't know where it really took place. The article I found, like something mentioned, like I don't know, like different currency, like the Libra, or I don't know. But smiling potato in the freezer for 5 years. And this next story is regarding drugs. $83 million of cocaine delivered to supermarkets by mistake. The crazy story. It looks like this happened in Czech. It seemed like Czech police, Czech supermarkets, but the crates of bananas, but they were like bricks of cocaine, like these tightly wrapped. Yeah, I think it's called Czech. I'm trying to think back in school, like it was Czechoslovakia or Czech Republic or something like that, but it just says Czech and delivered to the capital city of Prague. We see these like bought crates of bananas and these like bricks of cocaine, but approximately $83 million. It came from like a German port in Hamburg. After I don't know, it's kind of like a trail like mentions in Netherlands too, but just imagine like having so much money in drugs for it just for being intercepted by police. So crazy story and all that. Okay, and the last story, and this might be a little topical because gas prices, gas prices being high. Am I right? But basically, California, and keeping that in mind, because I think California is one of the places where gas prices are the highest. But a gas station manager accidentally made the gas 69 cents per gallon. Nice. I'm not just saying that because that's a funny number, because 69 cents per gallon, I would kill for that. Not really, but what happened is that it's supposed to be set for $6.99, but there was a mistake made. It said it cost the gas station $16,000 in sales. People were like sharing the price on social media and lines were forming and all that. But it was like a glitch that happened at a Shell gas station, and unfortunately the manager was fired and all that. That's just like crazy. And they said like it didn't impact diesel or something like that. But just imagine like fucking up that badly that people get so much cheap gas. And it said like the guy like filled out 10 job applications for a weekend. So one of those things like if I would almost like hire that guy just because like, dude, that's epic. Like even though it's like a major fuck up from like a business standpoint, but like so much people's cheap gas, like I can't. It's like as a person, I can't stay mad at you, but as like losing so much profit, I can get where that's coming from. Yep, so that'll do it for this podcast this week. All that. So again, the best way to support me and the channel is to like, comment, and subscribe. I like to kind of like do more, have more community, like do Q&As or advice, or I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just throwing spaghetti at the walls when it comes to content online. I have ideas like what I want to like at least put on the channel besides just gaming, whether it be VODs or gameplay or stuff like that. But yeah, I'm just kind of like a big mold of clay and trying to mold. It's like like when a kid like you like playing with clay, creating stuff, but you just end up like making a ball of clay or something like that, or like a stupid like clay man. And like I can do the crazy creative stuff or the talented stuff, but at least I'm doing something, I guess. At least it's killing time. I don't know. But thanks for listening, and yeah, that'll do it for this week. So you do take care and have a good rest of your day. Later all.